It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Top Hit Tuesday right here on your favorite show, ZiFM Sport. Good evening, Zimbabwe, and welcome to it. We're going to be with you for the next 50 minutes, and the team that's here to educate, inform, and entertain you is Barry Manandi, Alois Munjira, Chris Midzi, Shonta Ferenyika, our producer, and my name is Mike Madoda. Well, what can you look forward to on this evening's show? On the home front, ZIFA have thrown their weight behind under fire Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, insisting the Croats' recent failure at the Chan tournament was a result of a combination of factors and not his technical shortcomings. Find out if the team agrees. Was it all on Loga or was it on ZiFA? Who's accepting responsibility? Is ZIFA taking responsibility for a change? Stay tuned to ZiFM Sport. And then we also have some international sports news for you. Today being a Tuesday means the Formula One report returns and is proudly brought to you by Zimoko. In the news, Carlos Sainz, that his first test as a Ferrari Formula One driver was a day he will never forget as he drove a 2018 spec SF71H for over 100 laps off the Fiorano test track.
In around the world of 60, we take off down under, where Serena Williams says she may not have been able to play the Australian Open had it not been pushed back by 3 weeks. In England, Jack Leach says he has been taking tips from successful England spinners of the past ahead of the Test series against India. And in the United States, Tom Brady admits he will know when the time is right to hang up his cleats as he prepares to make his 10th career Super Bowl appearance at the age of 43 this Sunday.
In the middle of the show, as usual, is the play of the day. Today is Top Hit Tuesday, so look forward to a track that is topping the charts. We'll then head into the beautiful game where Liverpool finally bolstered their defensive options by signing Schalke's Ozan Kabak and Preston's Ben Davies before the Premier League transfer window slammed shut last night. Being a Tuesday, we're going to dip into France, where Neymar has openly confirmed his desire to stay at Paris Saint-Germain and extend his contract, and hopes that Kylian Mbappe will do the same. We'll head over to Italy as well, where Andrea Pirlo cited the 2-0 loss to Inter in January as a turning point for informed Juventus as they prepare to face Antonio Conte's side once again, this time in the Coppa Italia.
Time for our power play to kick off the show. Here's Shekinah. It's featuring Beatty. It's called Fixate.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Don't forget, you can be a part of this conversation. Follow and interact with @ZiFM Sport, or even in our individual capacity, search for Chris Midzi, search for Gazaman14, that's Alois Munjira, Shonta Ferenyika, @Barry Manandi, and @Mike Madoda. Now, let's kick off on the home front. ZIFA back in the news. Not surprising, this one after the Warriors' dismal campaign in Cameroon at the Chan Championships. But ZIFA themselves have thrown their weight behind their under-fire coach, Zdravko Logarušić, insisting that the Croats' recent failure at Chan was a result of a combination of factors and not his technical shortcomings. Both Logarušić and the association have recently come up for heavy criticism following the Warriors' lifeless show at Chan, where they became the first team to bow out of the tournament in Cameroon. Logarušić refused to take responsibility for the team's dismal performance, as he also blamed the Warriors' poor showing on inadequate preparations. Now, I know you guys are all chomping at the bit to give your thoughts on that story coming out of ZIFA, but I'm going to read a quote here from Brighton Malandule, who's the ZIFA board member technical, and he says that, "I don't want to speak for the technical team, but people should not forget that we had no preparations for CHAN to speak about. Football was only open for Malawi friendly, AFCON qualifiers and COSAFA preparations. Only towards December were clubs allowed to train." The words of Brighton Malandula. Alois, I'm going to give you the first shot at this. What are your thoughts? ZIFA saying that, hey, let's not blame Loga. Let's blame the lack of game time that Zimbabwe football, that characterized Zimbabwe football in the lead up to CHAN.
Yeah, Mike, I'm actually embarrassed, that a whole technical board member is actually coming up with such statements. I'm embarrassed for ZIFA, because they are the ones that are supposed to have made sure that they are preparation for the tournament. Because it's almost a year since we knew that we had qualified for CHAN. So what did they do? The CSRC had their own protocols that needed to be followed. They were very specific. So if it was up to ZIFA to know that we were going to CHAN, so get a proposal going to the SRC that, you know what, we want to prepare for CHAN. We are going to have our national team in a bubble doing ABC so that we have our players conditioned for this tournament, so that the SRC gives you a green light to get your preparations going. What do? You just said and waited for the SRC to say, now football can play. No, we don't do that. When you actually know that you have got an important tournament to go to, you prepare for it. And the coach, what did the coach also have in mind? Give your proposal to the association that this is how I want to prepare my team. So I don't understand. This is actually embarrassing.
Very, very embarrassing, according to Alois Munjila. Now, Barry, does it come back to the fact that at a time when Logarušić was supposed to be preparing the team during the month of December, he was busy playing friendly matches with any comers, with anyone who was willing to play the Warriors? I know we talk about the fact that there was no football being played in Zimbabwe, and we'll give that to ZIFA and say that is true. Alois has pointed to them and said, you are the ones who are responsible for there being no football in Zimbabwe being played. But there are those who say that there was still enough time for Logarušić to put together a competitive squad and a competitive team, even in that limited time he had during the month of December.
There was enough time to put together a competitive team, to prepare a competitive team. But I think what he did was that I think he felt he had more time than he actually had. And also, I don't think in coaching there's such a thing as too much time. I think he could have used that time a lot wiser. I agree to an extent with the statement to say that the failure at the competition wasn't exclusively as a result of Logarušić's technical shortcomings, but I'm not discounting them. They were part of it, and for him to say not his technical shortcomings, that's not quite true, on the basis that at the tournament he also failed to then manage the players that he had in camp. Mike, just a quick one. If you recall, on this very show, in October, all of us here could tell that there was going to be no football in Zimbabwe. I think the only people who were hoping that there would be football in Zimbabwe was ZIFA, when they were promising some sort of a bubble competition and blah, 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 blah. And we proposed, we knew, 64 players. We used the number 64 just as a, plucked it out of the air. Take 64 players, put them in camp, and prepare them for the tournament that was coming. And then we would have had October and all sorts playing games within the bubble in those 64 players to prepare for the tournament. But nobody heeded our calls.
Exactly. And even then, 64 players for me, Barry, way too much. ZIFA should have known, at least the Warriors technical setup, Chris, should have known the possible Warriors candidates. They know the players that are the best performers in the league. They know the players that have flirted with national team selection before. And those are the guys you turn to in a situation where there's no football being played. And that is what Tondera Indiraya and Lloyd Chitembwe tried to do when they called up the initial squad. It was made up of players that they thought were going to give value to Logarušić. But what did Logarušić do? Like a petulant child, he threw his toys out of the cot and said, I don't like them. And then proceeded to hold trials throughout the month of December when the team was supposed to be preparing.
you absolutely have to hold Logarušić responsible because, first of all, we've talked about the fact that in as much as he's a new coach, he doesn't know the setup, he doesn't know the country, he doesn't know the players. He's got his 2 assistants who are able to assist him. His assistants did their job. They presented a squad to him. And what did he do? Day by day, it was almost like an episode of Survivor in their camp where he was chopping and changing these players. And what he essentially did was he broke up a potential team that could have delivered results. And he started tinkering with it here. He gets to the tournament and then the team that he sets up is different for every single match day. You clearly don't know the players and you don't know what you're doing. Even in terms of game management itself, I personally, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me, there was very little in-game management that Logarušić conducted that was impactful in any kind of way. So for me, look, you have to hold him accountable because at every turn, he had the assistant, he had the team. So it's entirely on Logarušić.
Well, I'm going to throw you guys another quote, this time from Logarušić himself, who says that with the players that did not have adequate preparation and players that did not play any official football in such results are not something special. We only had 10 2-hour training sessions, which translates to 20 hours of preparation before a serious tournament. The results are not bad, especially with 2 big teams, Cameroon and Mali. It is not bad. Those are the words of Logarušić. So whilst we are here crying and moaning about Zimbabwe having a torrid time in Cameroon, having played a bad tournament, Logarušić is saying, Alois, that it wasn't a bad tournament, a tournament in which we only managed to score 1 goal, that goal coming from Patson Jaure when we played Burkina Faso. What are your thoughts on that? This is a man who's refusing to take responsibility, Alois.
It worries me, Mike. It worries me that a whole coach of the national team is actually applauding that performance. You know, we go to a tournament, score 1 goal and we lose all games, and he's saying it wasn't bad. He had the time to prepare the team. He was busy doing trials and he is running away from responsibility. This is a tournament where we have actually performed well. We were once in the semi-finals of this tournament. And a lot of our players got scouted and go out and went to play abroad. We know what we can do. We know the potential of Zimbabwe. So we were supposed to mitigate against the coronavirus issues. We were supposed to mitigate, like Betty said. By October, we already knew. That's when we were supposed to be preparing. He can't be telling us of the 10-day to whatever, 2 hours of training. It's all because of him, because he didn't plan. Because if he had planned, he could have had more time to prepare. That because he was a coach who was just sitting and didn't plan, that's where it comes from. Yes, we agree that he had 10 2-hour training sessions, but who's blame? He is the one because he didn't prepare. Together with ZIFA, they are culpable.
As Alois, I'm going to add to that. Yes, fine, you had 10 2-hour training sessions, but when you get to the tournament, you are playing, in each game, you're playing 6 to 7 defenders, okay, in your team. What are you saying to your team? What are you saying about your ambition? So you look at his planning in terms of the training schedule, and then his planning in terms of going out and playing the games. There was no bravery, there was no desire, there was no, he didn't think we could do absolutely anything. And believe me, I don't think that ZIFA should then be backing a coach who doesn't believe in what he's doing and in what he's being given. In truth, he showed that in the players that he had weren't going to achieve anything regardless of what he did. So that's why he's not taking responsibility. And then secondly, he said to himself, the administration has let me down because there hasn't been any football. So I get a free pass. It's a free hit for me.
But Logarušić is able to make...
If I can add to that, South Korea in 2002, Japan, they actually suspended their own league so that their national team can get into a prolonged camp to prepare for a tournament. And they went all the way to the semi-finals. They suspended their own league. So we could have just done the same. Our league is not running. So let's have a prolonged session with the squad.
But the thing is, we've talked about how we're not setting standards for the national team. And that is exactly why Logarušić can come out with all of this guff and be able to make statements like that, is no one is holding him to account. There were no standards to which he was supposed to perform. And therefore, he can come out and make these kinds of statements when you're the national team head coach. It's entirely problematic, but it stems from the fact that our administrators have no standards that they have set. There's no performance that Logarušić, there's no standard to which Logarušić was expected to perform in the first place. There's no accountability.
Well, Logarušić has been in the job for a full year now. He actually celebrated his first anniversary last Friday, and I can tell you that it wasn't a happy one for Warriors fans. And upcoming, Barry, we've got some Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers versus Zambia and Botswana. And Logarušić will need to redeem himself. Do you have any confidence? Because at the end of the day, he probably won't be leaning on this bunch of players that we saw him take to Cameroon. He's going to have a lot of our big-time players back. Knowledge Musona, hopefully he would have recovered from injury. Kama Billiot again, hopefully he would have recovered from injury. But the likes of Tendai Narikwa, Teenage Hadebe will be there. And of course, players of that ilk. Do you have any confidence that we can get the job done against those two nations?
We've got good enough players to get the job done, but you got to think to yourself that the other nations, Zambia and Botswana, aren't standing still. So that's the only concern. So my hope is that Logarušić is thinking of a plan for these upcoming games. Like you point out, those names you mentioned, you add there Nyasha Munetsi, you've got Tino Kadewere, you've got Marvelous Nakamba. The squad begins to build itself. The hope is that he doesn't do what you said earlier at the top of this story when we started discussing it. Be a petulant child like he was in the second leg against Algeria and decide to put a field aside that he says, this is my team. Because had that team that played in the first half against Algeria finished that game, would have been beaten 4-0. But then you saw that he realized, no, I've made a mistake and brought on the right team, and the right team can deliver the result. So I'm hopeful more than expecting.
Well, with Group H leaders and reigning African champions Algeria having already sealed their place, the Warriors, Zambia and Botswana, that's the Zebras, must now battle for the remaining slot. The Warriors in second place with 5 points are in a delicate situation in which only a point separates them from third place Botswana, while they are only 2 points ahead of bottom placed Zambia, Chipolopolo, the Copper Bullets. So Zimbabwe will visit Botswana on March 22 before completing the assignment with a battle of the Zambezi clash against Zambia at home a week later. Alois, important that the Warriors seal qualification versus Botswana, because we don't want to take it into a last match scenario versus Zambia. We've been down this road before, way back during the Dream Team era, and we were so cruelly denied a place at the Africa Cup of Nations by that late Kalush Wabalia header that silenced the National Sports Stadium.
Yeah, we don't want to go there, Mike. We don't want to get into the last game holding our calculators either. You know, we have done that before, holding calculators, thinking if this one qualifies, if this one scores this. We don't want that. I think if we can go out and beat Botswana, we can do ourselves a favor. You know, like Barry said, we've got able players. These guys are playing in Europe. To be honest, Mike, I'm depending on the players more than I'm depending on the coach. I'm more inclined to actually believe that we've got players that when they are on the field, they can actually do their own thing and deliver. Because what I saw at the CHAN, I don't have confidence in what I saw from the coach. So
can I tell you something, Alois? I'm gonna back you because, and I'm not gonna reveal the player's name because I bumped into a player, one of the senior Warriors players, who said exactly what you said. He said, listen, first of all, say that he had no faith in Logarušić. That's what he said. And then secondly, he said, listen, Algeria, so you can tell that even
exactly my point.
The Warriors camp, the senior players themselves don't have confidence in Logarušić, and he needs to do more to win his own players over and to win the fans over. It's important if the Warriors are to move forward. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday, bringing you nothing but the top stories out of the world of sport, local as well as international. We'll give you a local sports news roundup in a bit, tennis, athletics and cycling news, and then we go international with our sports news with the Formula One report, proudly brought brought to you by Zimoko. Stay locked to ZiFM Sport.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Let's give you that tennis news. Now, 4 Bulawayo-based players are set to take part in the Gaborone International Tennis Federation ITF Futures Junior Tournament at the end of this month. The ITF Futures Tournament will run from the 20th to the 28th of February in Botswana capital. The Sports and Recreation Commission, the SRC, has permitted the resumption of training activities in preparation for the event. Zamani Moyo, Shane Tapera, Lyle Zalumis, and Munashe Bera will represent the country in the tournament. On to athletics news. The National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe, the NAAZ, has applied for more funding from the Zimbabwe Olympic Committee, the ZOC, to assist athletes prepare for the Tokyo Olympics. More than 15,000 competitors are expected at the Tokyo Games that are due to start on the 23rd of July, and the NAAZ has put forward 3 athletes for more Olympic Solidarity Scholarship funding. Sprinter Ngoni Makusha and road runners Constance Nyasango and Munyaradzi Jari are the 3 athletes covered by the full Olympic Solidarity Scholarship. Last week, Makusha set up an online crowdfunding initiative seeking to raise $2,500 to enroll for a training camp at the High Performance Center in Pretoria, South Africa. Let's wrap it up with cycling news, where Zimbabwean cyclists Nkulumo Dube and Pendulo Nkala are spearheading a charity cycling event from Johannesburg, South Africa to Bulawayo to raise funds to assist vulnerable families hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. They will start the approximately 900-kilometer cycle on the 12th of February and are expected to arrive in Bulawayo on the 18th of February. Event organizers intend to raise at least 50,000 Rand through the fundraising initiative dubbed God's Word on the Move.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoko, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoko, specialized service for special brands.
As you might already know, Zimoko is a lot more than just Mercedes, Jeep or Mitsubishi. We are also home to the Havao H2, which we shall be touching on a bit later on. But we are also expecting imminently here in Zimbabwe at Zimoko, the GWMP Series Double Cab. This is more than a machine. It's a double cab that will excite you, Baz.
It certainly is, because you can conquer the land, you can conquer the journey as well in the all-new, all-conquering GWMP Series Passenger Double Cab. The GWMP Series is a brand new addition to the range of strong, reliable, workaholic GWM pickups that are built for true adaptability. It has the right amount of muscle, safety, and performance to tackle any task. So you've got the comfort of a passenger car, but also it's a bit of a workhorse.
It's a workhorse, Barry, which means that you're going to look nice and slick whilst you're in the city. And then if you take it out on the farm, if you take it out to the mine, it's going to get the job done because it has that power. It has that muscle. It features a responsive ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox. So it's not slouch, this one, when it comes to take off on the road. It's got a multi-link rear suspension and is powered by a diesel engine with a mighty 120 kilowatts of power and 400 newton meters of torque. You should know a bit more about this, Barry, being a Formula One buff.
No, it absolutely means that it can undertake any task with ease. That means if you've got something in the load bed, it's going to be carried. If you put on a trailer, you're going to be able to haul it quite easily. The GWMP series has been designed to impress with features that make this road warrior stand tall above the rest. The sturdy chrome-plated grille, sharp eagle-eyed headlights, and muscular body lines make this Bucky the ultimate performance conqueror.
Now, if you've ever been involved in an accident, especially one with a pedestrian or cyclist, you'll be very wary of even taking to the road again. So I can tell you that some of the safety features in this vehicle are absolutely top-notch and will give you all the confidence that you need. Lane keeping assist, lane departure warning, lane center keeping, as well as the pedestrian and cyclist detection to avoid those nasty collisions. And this is thanks to its 4 high-definition inbuilt cameras that project a 360-degree view to give you full confidence and extra peace of mind. For a pickup truck, Barry, this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's off the charts, because when you were talking about all of that lane departure warning and all sorts, those are aspects that you normally find in an executive saloon, not in a pickup. A pickup is meant to be just start and drive, carry what you need to do, get the job done. But you certainly have a lot of bells and whistles in the GWMP series. Now, once you get in, you're now prepped for an extraordinary drive in this rugged bucky, perfectly primed for Zimbabwean roads, rough or smooth. Now, the all-inclusive drive-away price starting at $35,500 US. That's inclusive of duty, VAT, and a first free service, all rolled into that price tag. Now, that's value.
Z.
On to our Formula One update. Now, Carlos Sainz says his first test as a Ferrari Formula One driver was a day he'll never forget as he drove a 2018 spec SF71H for over 100 laps of the Fiorano test track. The 26-year-old will become only the Scuderia's third ever Spanish Formula One race driver, following Marcus Alfonso Di Portago and Fernando Alonso when the season kicks off at the end of March in Bahrain. Now, his teammate, of course, will be Charles Leclerc, and he takes over from the almost inconsistent Seb Vettel, who was at the Scuderia last season.
Z. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, my name's Ryan Cairns, Sunshine Tour professional golfer, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off down under where Serena Williams says she may not have been able to play in the Australian Open had it not been pushed back by 3 weeks. The first Grand Slam of the year was delayed to allow players to quarantine. Williams, chasing a record-equaling 24th major singles title next week, said she needed the extra time to fully recover from an Achilles injury sustained at the US Open in September. We'll head over to England, where Jack Leach said he has been taking tips from successful England spinners of the past ahead of the Test series against India. Monty Panesar and Graham Swan starred when England famously won in India in 2012, taking 37 wickets between them. Leach and fellow spinners Dom Bess and Moeen Ali will likely have to take plenty of wickets again if England are to repeat the success when their 4 Test series against India gets underway on Friday. We'll touch down in the United States, where Tom Brady admits he will know when the time is right to hang up his cleats as he prepares to make his 10th career Super Bowl appearance at the age of 43 on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback refrained from putting a specific timestamp on record, but did suggest he would consider playing beyond the age of 45 should he continue to maintain the performance level that have put him in contention to clinch a remarkable 7th ring.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudent. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
It was transfer deadline day in England yesterday, all the way up to midnight. There were clubs still trying to get deals done, and one club that came through in a major way was Liverpool, who finally bolstered their defensive options by signing Schalke's Ozan Kabak and Preston's Ben Davies before that transfer window slammed shut last night. The January window is regarded as a seller's market and oftentimes for stopgap measures, but Liverpool was forced to act. But Michael Edwards, Barry, belied the expectation that is normally out there, that people get hit and they get hit hard, by getting two defenders for $2 million.
It's insane, Michael. It's unbelievable. And in truth, if you shake Michael Edwards' hand, you better count your fingers, because he is a man who gets a deal done, and at the rock bottom price. I cannot believe the deals that he's done. Also for Schalke, a quality player, Ozan Kabak, getting him in on $1 million, and then with an option to buy at $18 million if he then performs for the club. I think that's a fantastic deal. Ben Davies, again, a player who doesn't have Premier League experience, but you never know. With Jurgen Klopp, he could actually show up. But two quality players for £2 million is ridiculous in January.
Davies, 25 years old, and of course he's coming in from Preston North End. The guy who could be thrown immediately into the fray this weekend when Liverpool take on City at Anfield is Ozan Kabak, who arrives after 2 years in the Bundesliga. He played for Stuttgart before joining Schalke 04 in 2019. He previously gained Champions League experience at Galatasaray, and he's got 7 caps for Turkey, so plenty of experience there. Other deals done on transfer deadline day. Didn't see anything major, Chris, in terms of big money moves or big name players shifting clubs.
Yeah, not a lot of movement in terms of your big name players, your big signings, not a lot happening there. And I think we can also attribute part of that to the coronavirus pandemic. I think for a lot of clubs, this is not the time where they want to be spending. Everyone is holding on to their best players for as long as they can.
Takumi Minamino leaving Liverpool on loan to Southampton. Arsenal allowing Shkodran Mustafi to leave, with the German defender signing a short-term contract at Schalke as a replacement for Obak, who was, of course, Ozan Kabak, who was joining Liverpool. Then you had the likes of West Brom agreeing a deal with Arsenal to take on versatile Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan until the end of the season. Newcastle signed Arsenal midfielder Joe Willock on loan for the rest of the season, while Magpies right back DeAndre Yedlin joined Galatasaray in Turkey on a permanent deal. There's action in the English Premier League, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has challenged United players to rediscover their mojo as Manchester United bid to return to winning ways in the Premier League against Southampton tonight. Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, no, it's not been time to do a lot on the training pitch. We've had some, of course, the boys that played, they're still on the recovery track from Saturday night, but then still they have to prepare for the game tomorrow night. So it's like it's right in between for them. So the session was light, but some of them scored a few goals. We want to get that mojo back, that spark. I think we've created enough chances to score the goals, and then now it's just about that feeling good and feeling like taking a deep breath and putting the ball between the posts.
Alois, the Red Devils title tilt has suffered a bit of a blow over the last week, and they'll be looking to get back to winning ways versus the Saints.
Yeah, of course, Mike. They need to get back to winning ways. You know, the last 2 matches were not satisfactory. You know, having topped the group, topped the league. I mean, and you would expect that Manchester United will hit consistency and actually fight for the championship. But here we are. We are looking at a situation where Man City are the outright favourites at the moment, and Manchester United can actually do a world of good for themselves if they can actually come back and beat Southampton. But it's not going to be easy. When you look at Manchester United, you can't beat Liverpool today and you lose to Sheffield United the next day. It doesn't bring confidence at all. So when we go to this match against Southampton today, fans don't know. I don't think even the coach doesn't know which team is going to come. We don't know. You don't want that for a championship winning team. When the team is a championship winning team, you actually supposed to actually calculate, good, you know what, we can beat this one and this one and this one, and we can get a point here and there. That's when you can actually think that this is a championship team. You can't be just flip-flopping just like that. Right now, I don't think Manchester United is a championship winning team at the moment.
Well, Southampton will be taking a look at United's home form, Barry, and taking a look at the fact that United, I think, have lost 4 matches at Old Trafford this season. That will give them hope.
It certainly will, and Old Trafford itself has turned into a bit of a nemesis for the home side, because it's a one place where they are failing to get results. They're getting results on the road, and those have set them into the place that they ought to be. Yes, they've got a few results lately at Old Trafford, but certainly Southampton will have the wind underneath their wings, and also Southampton themselves, having beaten Liverpool earlier in the season, will think to themselves, we can beat anyone. They'll go there with lots of confidence, expecting to get a good result.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also needs to get his team to rediscover their spark in front of goal, with United having scored just 4 goals in their previous 5 Premier League games. And in other matches tonight, Sheffield United, the Blades, they entertain West Brom, or Wolves versus Arsenal, and it's the Magpies, Newcastle United. They were taking on Crystal Palace.
Neymar, Mbappe, Depay, and now Tino Kadewere enjoys a taste of the French football on a ZiFM Sport.
It's a Tuesday, and like we do every single week, we take a peek into Ligue 1, where Neymar has openly confirmed his desire to stay at Paris Saint-Germain and extend his contract, and hopes Kylian Mbappe will do the same. The Brazilian forward has been in talks with the club to extend his stay at the Parc des Princes, which is currently due to expire next year. Alois, if you take a look at Neymar's time at PSG, hasn't always been great. The club's fans at one point were publicly telling him to leave, but in terms of his overall career, we always thought he would probably move back to a Spanish club. Doesn't look like that's going to happen anymore.
Nah, it's actually quite sad, because I'm a big fan of Neymar, and I thought that maybe it was just emotional. He left Barcelona emotionally to PSG. He was supposed to come back. Even if it meant coming back to Barcelona, I was going to be happy, because I knew that it was good for his career. PSG is not good for Neymar's career. We were talking about the Ballon d'Or, one of the best players in the world. He is not going to achieve all those things when he is playing for PSG. When he's talking about Mbappe probably not leaving, Mbappe is leaving. Definitely Mbappe is leaving. He can dream whatever, whenever Mbappe is going to leave PSG at some point. 1 year, 2 years from now, Mbappe is going to be leaving. So Neymar to extend his contract as PSG is actually unfortunate. I would have loved to see him coming back to Barcelona or to Real Madrid. He is a world-class player, but he is not going to realize his potential at PSG. He is going to look back after he retires that he wasted precious time at PSG.
Mike, just coming off of what Alois said there, that Neymar is he's a world-class player, but it doesn't seem like he gets the respect that he deserves. He doesn't get his kudos. Is that because of decisions like this, where he'll choose with so many, an average of how many, maybe 6-7 more years of his playing career, choosing to stay at a club like PSG, he doesn't necessarily get the kudos or the visibility that he needs?
And I don't think it's the problem is PSG. The problem is the league, because we can't say PSG is the problem when they got to the Champions League final last season. So they're one of the 2 best clubs in Europe at the moment by that estimation. Neymar still remains a prodigious talent, but the problem is for you to go on and be classified as the best player in the world, you've got to be doing it week in, week out. You've got to be playing at a level of competition that not just the fans but the media also appreciate. The problem is when he's playing against Rennes, when he's playing against Saint-Etienne, it doesn't quite capture the imagination as much as a player who's playing for Man City, who's coming up against United, who's coming up against Spurs, who's coming up against Chelsea, who's coming up against Liverpool. So I think that's where the problem is, that the English media is extremely influential, very influential in the way that things are done or in the way that players are portrayed. And so because the English media doesn't have a lot of respect respect for French football. They call it a farmers' league. It means that Neymar suffers as a consequence and will never win the respect of such an influential block of people.
To add to that, I think also you've got the league that's a problem, but also the fact that Neymar wants to stay is pointing to a merry-go-round. I suspect, and this is just speculation, I suspect that Messi is on his way into Paris Saint-Germain. They're very good friends. He would want to stay. I suspect because they need to clear the wage bill. The football guys at PSG want to keep Kylian Mbappe, but they can't keep all three players on the same wage bill. So I think Kylian Mbappe will probably be shipped out, hopefully to Liverpool, and then he'll remain with Messi and Neymar. So I suspect that's also factoring into his decision making. But is it a good decision? I don't think so.
Quick update on the Zimbabwean players out in France. Tino Kadewere started for Olympique Lyon in their 2-1 win over Bordeaux in the French Ligue 1. He was later substituted in the second half. Marshall Monetti missed a Stade de Reims 1-0 victory over Strasbourg due to injury. Marshall Monetti himself subject of some transfer gossip, potential moves to Sheffield United and Newcastle, but obviously the transfer window has closed and those moves did not materialize. Quick look at the table as well. Lille sitting in first position, Lyon in second, Paris Saint-Germain in third, and AS Monaco in fourth. Stade de Reims sitting in fifth place.
In Italy, it's time for the Coppa Italia semi-final. First leg, and Andrea Pirlo cited the 2-0 loss to Inter in January as a turning point for informed Juventus as they prepare to face Antonio Conte's side once again, this time in the Coppa Italia. Arturo Vidal and Nicolo Barella scored the goals as Inter deservedly triumphed at the San Siro last month, and the defeat inflicted further damage on the reigning champions in their bid for the 10th straight Scudetto. Michael, Inter have been going great guns since that matchup. Juventus themselves have picked up, you could almost say they've picked up their skirts and are running towards the horizon and doing something, being of course the old lady of Turin. How does this one play out?
It's going to be another extremely competitive match. I think they're going to go near full strength, if not full strength, in these games. Because remember, the rivalry in Italian football, the traditional rivalry, actually, what they call the Derby d'Italia, is between Inter and Juventus. So that there's a bit of rivalry there, and they'll want to make sure that because they're locked also in a race for the Scudetto this season, that they don't lose the psychological edge. Antonio Conte will want to just press home the advantage by getting another victory over Juventus. So it should be an exciting game, this one. And if Inter played the way that they played the last time, with a lot of defensive discipline as well as creativity in the middle of the park, Arturo Vidal I thought was absolutely fantastic. They should have the firepower, because I think Ronaldo, he's gone 3 matches without scoring now. A lot is being put on his shoulders, and when he doesn't deliver, I think defenses find it quite easy to shut out the likes of Morata and Dybala, who are his supporting acts. The only player they'll need to watch is Chiesa. He's been scoring a few goals here and there for Juventus, but if Ronaldo doesn't fire, I think Inter may get over the line.
Indeed, and in truth, you look at Inter, they've got different ways to beat you. If Romelu Lukaku doesn't fire, which he won't tonight because he's out due to suspension, there are many others that can deliver goals for Internazionale. Let's go to Germany now. Roman Bürki has been ruled out of Borussia Dortmund's DFB Pokal third-round tie with Paderborn tonight. The BVB goalkeeper is troubled by a shoulder problem that saw him miss Saturday's 3-1 win over Augsburg in the Bundesliga. Your DFB Pokal matches tonight: Holstein Kiel take on Darmstadt, Rot-Weiss Essen take on Bayer Leverkusen, while Werder Bremen take on Greuther Fürth. And in Spain, Almeria will take on Sevilla in the Copa del Rey quarterfinal tie. That's all we have time for. That's why we've been speeding to the end. We'll catch you tomorrow. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.